perhaps we should start. I'm Boris Preobrazhensky. I'm the owner of different online stores, offline projects, restaurants and clothes stores. Maybe I'm a moderator today, and we'll talk about migration of online companies to offline. Why is the internet so narrow and so complicated? What are they waiting for, and what do they gain? So I would like to introduce the panelists. So Peter Vesterbacka, the marketing director of Rovio Entertainment. Alexey Gisak will represent the network Restaurant Wokker, Mosigra company Kibkalo, and representative of the Utilnet company. So Peter, maybe you would start, please. Tell us about the Rovio experience.
Existent, so yeah, can't do too many words in Russia, but yeah. So if you look at kind of like this, the topic of migration to offline, I don't think that there is actually any kind of like migration happening, but it's just all of us human beings, we are like physical beings, so it's kind of like pretty obvious that there is a need for physical products. So it's not like a huge surprise. I think that if you are building any kind of more sustainable brand, I think that it's fairly tough to do that without having some physical and tangible products as well. And I think that's especially when you are in entertainment like ourselves. So then you want to have kind of physical manifestations of the brand out there. And for us, we have that in the form of thousands of Angry Birds branded products, Angry Birds branded experiences, everything from soft drinks to activity parks. So small products, big products, and for us it's very clear that you have to have this kind of blended experience, if you will, where you combine physical and digital. And I think that it's very important that you don't view these as separate things. It's actually all part of the fan experience. And I think that when we get it right, it's a very seamless experience between the physical and the digital world. Kind of like one simple example, what we're doing together with our good partner Hasbro in toys. We launched a series of toys called Telepods, where we actually make it very easy to bring kind of like the physical toy into the digital game. And okay, the technology involves like micro QR codes and things like that, but basically you can scan the toy into the game. And similar to what Activision and some of these guys have done with Skylanders. But again, I think that it's a great example of how you can combine physical and digital. And a bit longer term, I think our ambition is to really integrate all the physical and digital experiences. So you go to one of our parks, you have the physical like activity, the physical experience, but you then have on top of that the digital layer, digital experience when you are in the park, when you're not in the park. So basically, before you get there, during your stay at the park, after you leave the park, the experience continues seamlessly, digital and physical, all brought together. And I think that that's again for all of our products. So like buy an Angry Birds soft drink, get value in one of our games or at our park. So I think that there are many ways that you can surprise and delight your fans when you build the experiences, keeping both physical and digital in mind. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, what challenges did you encounter? What was absolutely unexpected offline for you? What was absolutely unexpected for you when you got offline from the digital world? So what you didn't anticipate? What challenges did you encounter when you got offline, and what was absolutely unexpected for you in the offline world?
New things every day, but I don't think that there's like a lot of unexpected things. I mean, we were initially kind of like overwhelmed by the demand for some of the products, like the toys, and I mean, we built start with kind of like our own web store and try to cope with the demand that way. But I think that we very quickly learned that let's leave that for like the experts. So instead of trying to fulfill the demand ourselves, we can work with our partners who make the toys, partners that do the distribution like Toys R Us, Walmart, Amazon, and so on and so on. So I think that for us now, when you look at kind of like the physical side, it's licensing, it's merchandising, it's franchising. So we provide the brand, we work on the overall experience, but we always work with partners that are much better at, for example, making toys or doing the distribution, experts in their field. So instead of building our own, for example, web store in China, we work with the guys from Alibaba, and we have a store on their Tmall. So I think that you learn not to do too many things or not to do everything yourselves. It's always it's a partnership, and we work with some of the best partners on the planet to make these things happen.
Питер, а каким образом, скажем, выход в офлайн сказался на капитализации компании, на стоимости бренда?
How offline told on your capitalization, on the cost of the brand? Did offline sales told on the cost of your brand?
So the offline part of our business, or like the physical products, in 2012 were 45% of our overall business. So it's significant.
Вообще изначально цель.
So from the very start, what was your objective? Just the global presence of Angry Birds, or revenues, capitalization, maybe some other impacts?
Only objective is to provide great Angry Birds branded experiences to our fans. We don't really care if it's digital or physical, if it's a soft drink or a park or a T-shirt or a red hoodie or whatever. It doesn't really matter, and I think that we don't have any kind of like objective that it has to be a certain percentage. I mean, we're more than happy if people play our games more, drink our drinks more, like all of that. So it really is all about the fan experience. I mean, that's kind of like the only thing that we care about is that no matter what we do, it has to be a great experience for our fans. So then if we can provide better experiences by combining digital and physical, perfect. And I think that we're only getting started there. We can do a much better job in doing these kind of like blended experiences. So we have a lot of work to do, and we're really only getting started, even though we've kind of been doing this for a few years now.
Питер, спасибо. Давайте двигаться дальше. Хочу предоставить слово.
I give the floor to Alexey Gisak, the founder of Wokker restaurants.
Как все начиналось, почему и что получилось?
How everything started and what you have as a result. It's difficult to say. Probably what I'm dealing with is the least formative for our discussion, but you have to be realistic, because I'm dealing with the sale of noodles. And in 2008, we launched a network of noodle vendors, and we have a franchise, and we are developing in Moscow. But as far as our discussion is concerned, I can tell you that we migrate online and offline permanently, because in 2008 we launched our chain. In 2010 we opened a number of our own factories when we understood that this was the only method to provide services and to stick to the standards. Then we understood that what we could do is to launch a city, a delivery service in the city. And in 2010 and 2011, when we tried to develop this part of our business, we were not present greatly in the offline, but we were present on internet, and we managed to embrace the whole city of Moscow with our transportation delivery service. And it was one of the tools for upgrade and to improve the brand awareness and our delivery and our presence very strongly. We're shaking our offline up to 45% of our business. And in principle, I think that what we are dealing with, I would say it's kind of a traditional business, but we like everything digital, because we came to this business from advertising, from chain advertising, and we were treating all progressive things perfectly well. I think that you have to be there where your customer is. And from the point of view, if we talk about the demand of our consumers, at this particular time, the consumer demands delivery. From the point of view of communication that we permanently use, we never do anything in offline. We are present only online. And I worked for several major advertising agencies and understood that we don't need to spend money for offline. At one point of development, the delivery occupied a least portion of our business. But now we are approaching the next stage. We are developing franchise. We are opening new vendors. We are opening deliveries in the other cities. And again, we are migrate to the online, and we are communicating and combining our efforts online. But we migrate offline and online. At one point, offline helps online. At the other point, online helps offline. We are present here and there. We live, and I think it's more effective to be everywhere, to be present everywhere. And talking about what Peter has said, we are present where our audience is. We are trying to adjust to their model of consumption, and they consume internet and social networks. We take into consideration the demand of our customers, and we adjust to them physically. We organize our delivery services there. So we adjust to the demand of the customer, and whether it is online or offline, well, I would say that we try to combine it. Tell us, I had my own restaurant and I had my delivery service. The most horrible thing is the dentists, logistics, and the food service. If I knew it before, I would have thought about it 10 times. But I think the most horrible thing is the system of food delivery. It is the crazy logistics, crazy calculations, what we were mentioning from the very beginning. For example, if you order a telephone online, you are not suffering whether it will be brought in 4 hours or 8 hours or in 2 days. But if you ordered food, time is vital, is critical. If this food will be brought to you 1 hour and a half, it's okay. But if it will be brought after 2.5 hours, then you will be swearing. And internet, we understand that in internet shops, in internet stores, there are warehouses. But as far as food is concerned, you can do everything. You can shift the time of consumption. You can introduce discounts after 4 p.m., but everybody wants to eat from noon until 3 p.m. And you have a queue, and you still remember that you have to deliver food 1.5 hours after the order. And if you work large scale, then it's very difficult to provide fast delivery of the food which was ordered. From the point of restaurants, the biggest complexity, this is the business which is based on the human factor, on how people work, how they love their customers, because services, our cashiers, this is the face and image of your company. Dmitry is smiling, and his bad mood should not reflect on the customer. And because he is the in and out poet. The idea can be good, but if something is wrong in this model, if something's wrong with the cook or with the cashier, then you will receive a bad product and it will be my problem. So a lot of the human factors are involved. So please let us know you were planning after launching your business, how your plans, whether they have been fulfilled or they had to be rewritten from zero. At first, in the beginning, we've changed our model twice. But I would say that we have exceeded our plans, and I saw the potential of our development, which I didn't see in 2008. When we launched our project, we wanted to organize a chain project, and we wanted to organize like a medium-sized project, and we were happy with it. But at one point, we opened a great number of vendors, and then we had to close them, and that was the first painful experience, because you opened it and then you had to close it. It means that you wasted your efforts, and the efficiency of your life activity was zero. But all these vendors that are opened now, they are profitable, and we are developing in accordance with the franchise, and we are very active in the other regions. And in 2008, I could not think that now, currently, at this point, I would be able to open 100 vendors more within 2 years. Our model is operating since 2010. We were asked to provide the franchise, but we didn't understand at that time how could we provide our logo, how could we provide our process, and how you would be able to control it afterwards, and how these people will translate your quality. And we launched this franchise project in the fall 2011. And now let's listen to Dmitry Kibkalo, owner of Mosigra, and tell us whether it is easy, difficult, or what do you feel. We launched our business in 2008. In 2008, we were launching our business as an online store, and very quickly we opened an offline sales point. And when we opened the first sales point, we understood that there are two different trends, offline and online, and they add to each other. This is a fashionable trend now, a multi-channel business, and within the frame of our discussion, we have to place a margin between them, what we consider by offline and by online, because we cannot separate offline from online as far as the clients are concerned. And we can analyze differently the audience of the customers who place an order with delivery or without delivery. We have like 10% of those who make their orders with delivery. So it means you are increasing percentage of the offline sales. And what challenges have you faced, and what was the most difficult for you? The most difficult for us was that a retail trade is another business. It's It differs from the online retail. It's a different procedure of payments, and the offline is less sensitive to the point of application. For example, a customer calls you, and it doesn't matter for him where the operator is, whether he sits in the shop. When the client comes to the shop, the first thing he has to see is a beautiful shop, the variety of goods. It must be convenient for him to go to the shop and at any convenient time. So with retail trade, it's more difficult, but online business is, well, I would say that, and um, I would hope that still the level of the online sales is still low. And it's more easy for us to get the audience at their points because sometimes people are not ready to pay additional money for the delivery, for the transportation of their goods. But what is the largest complexity for you, the biggest challenge for you, for the beginner? Well, the biggest complexity and the biggest challenge was guarding the personnel. And we have 75 shops now, and we have to work with the local personnel who work as shopkeepers. Internet market was small, and most of the clients were offline. And there was a demand of the clients, whether is it possible to come and touch? Is it possible to come and see? It is important for people to feel that the variety is big. And you didn't close, well, out of 75 shops, what was the percentage of the shops that you've closed? We've closed like 10 shops during the whole period. And in general, for yourself, what do you think? What was the reason of launching your company? The online shop was not significant for you. I would say that the ceiling, the limit, is very low in the online sales. Well, there is a situation when that everything clearly depends on the product that you are selling. For example, his product. I bought toys, I bought games in Mosigra. And I always appeal to you, read the motivation of the customer. For example, a customer wants to buy a toy or a game as a present. He must see the box of this game. He must, well, shake it, touch it. For example, I split my business, retail, online delivery, and you know exactly which site you have to go to satisfy the demand in noodles. But as far as the toys are concerned, the games, you either buy this game for yourself or you buy it as a present. And when you go to the retail shop to touch the box with this game, to feel it, you understand the consumer, you understand how to do it. And as far as Dima's product is concerned, motivation is different. And for any other product, you will not see the margin. The question is the motivation of the customer. Well, we will have time to ask questions. Let's move forward. The word is to Mikhail Ukolov, owner of UTNet. I remember that Forum.ru was your competitor. We also were trying to sell laptops, notebooks. How did you manage to move forward this product? How did you start? What did you start with? What did you do? E-commerce. We have to split my reply into two parts. My attitude to offline, well, I was always running from offline. I was trying to escape offline. When I was asked whether you will use offline, I always said no. It's not an internet trade. It's like Nvidia, Eldorado. Amazon is not going to offline, and I will not use offline. But I think it was a mistake. It was an erroneous thinking. And how it happens in the world. There are in Russia, the market of electronic market is only 2% of all retail trade, and we can have very long debates and tell that we and e-commerce are very well very large. But if all commerce wants to be moved forward, they have to go offline, because 90% out of 100 buy things offline. If you want to get money, you have to go there. You have to chase after this money. And offline, the margin is twice as high as comparatively to online. And then you should answer a question: what is the main purpose? What is the main task? My predecessors said that it's either a delivery, a final delivery, or the endpoint. It is the first contact with the customer. If we talk about the delivery, it means that it should be very close to the subway, and the productivity must be as high as possible. If we talk that this is a sales point, it is a different format. It is a format of a shop, and it could be a terminal or placement of the goods. It depends on the product that you are working with. And also, well, it depends again on the square meters and on the format that you are using, whether you have a warehouse or not. Depending on the product, there are very many different solutions. And Citylink, Холодильник, Umo, they are giant stores. And like Enter with 200 square meters. So there are many solutions, and all of them are not very profitable. For all of them, losses are typical, because a person goes to the shop, he wants to buy here and now. Why he goes to the internet? Because the assortment is higher and the price is lower. When you go to MVideo, the service is good, but the prices are high and the variety is low. If you go to the Citylink, there is a high assortment and the prices are cheaper. So there is an English format which we used as a basis for Enter. I think it is called ASOS, and they mainly work with home utensils, and they have a gross margin, and that is why they survive offline in the products where there is 1,000 rubles per one unit. It is very, and if it is less than 1,000, it will be very difficult to have a network in the offline. From my point of view, if we talk about e-commerce business, then the optimal solution is the large-scale chain of points of sale. We strengthen the brand on one side, and on the other side, you do not have the task to sell. If I take 60 rubles from every delivery, every point of sales will be profitable. If I build the shops, then I have to stick to the rules offline rather than online. And these rules are absolutely different. If the internet retail and traditional retail, if we consider them and analyze them, then the inside story is absolutely different. Management of prices is totally different. Attraction of the customers, again, there are two different realities. And of course, we can build up business offline and online or combine them. But in fact, it's like a hybrid. We have to build a kind of a hybrid. And in the world, there is a product like an office technique, which combines very well a format of offline and online.
Here in Russia it is homers, and yes, they have just good life, both offline and online. So there are, I don't know that there are there are many products that lead a good life, both offline and online. Electronics, for instance, well, some brands are okay online, some are okay offline. But clothes, no, I don't think that they can combine both manners of trade. So we ask Alexander, just honestly, what money is made online? There are no sales, actually, I think. It's just fun for him, nothing more. Well, yes, you have a large network. You can spend 1% of your revenues on the internet. So I think UTNet has a tremendous network of delivery points. Well, maybe 90 points in Moscow, or no, across Russia. But where you can get your deliveries? Well, the space is not large, some 20 square meters, not more. And let's start with Peter. And the question is the following. So I have a very good project that costed about 45 billion rubles, and we decided we should start up offline retail, and we should do it in Moscow. No, we decided not, better go to the regions. And when it was one of a very few cases, and when it was profitable to start up a business in the region, in the regions. So the question is, so how do you deal with geography? Where to start up your new businesses? How do you pick new destinations? I just read that Rovio was planning to open up a lot of stores in China. So do you have a special approach to geography? How do you choose new locations?
Yeah, so the way we look at kind of like then geography, we increase our kind of like physical presence where we have a good brand presence. So if you look at kind of like then brand awareness, we have 9 out of 10 Americans know the brand. So we have a lot of kind of like activity on the retail and the consumer product side in the US. 93% of the Chinese population know the brand. So we are doing a lot in China when it comes to physical products as well. We have very good brand awareness in Korea. We have increasing brand presence and awareness here in Russia. So with that increased kind of like brand awareness, we are also then increasing our kind of like physical footprint and visibility. So kind of like one example that you've seen here at this show as well. So we have the Angry Birds soft drinks here in Russia. We don't have them in all markets yet, so we're first building the brand awareness through our kind of like digital presence, so primarily through the games, but also through things like our animated series and kind of like other activities. So yeah, that's really kind of like how we look at geography, that we start by building the brand awareness on the digital side, and then we follow with various physical products and things like activity parks and things like that as well.
Спасибо. Тогда тот же самый вопрос. Тебе, Алексей?
So the same question to Alexey. How do you choose locations? How do you have a special approach to geography?
Ну, мне кажется,
I think it's absolutely understandable and transparent in this country. So in Moscow or in the province, there are some strong points where we actually began with. We built a model of opening some time ago. So first we opened up in large trade centers, and then I went down to smaller ones, starting from very natural things. In Moscow has about 12 large trade centers, and already a few of them have our shops, and there we make money. And it's absolutely clear for us. We also negotiate all our presence in some other places, and currently in Moscow, we started up our stores in a smaller trade centers on the principal next to those shop. In summer, we are available in all parks in Moscow, and we make quite a lot of money there, but certainly depending on the season. We have special routes for franchising, and we clearly understand where and when a new point should be opened up. Especially it concerns the first 4 or 3 points in a new location. And then we work with our customers. After that, and another just aspect is a work with our customers with streams of demand, and we have a certain structure of priorities. So when the top is over, then we come down. So we cannot be everywhere at one time. So we always should know what to start with. So Dmitry, how about you? What is a principle for locating your businesses? Thank you, Peter. Well, from our experience, we know that certainly money is in Moscow for most, and so launching new stores in Moscow and in the province just requires just about the same sum of money, but the revenues are absolutely different, so Moscow is of priority. So we work also in large cities, for instance, with 100,000 population. We don't know what will be the benefit, but still we try to work mostly in Moscow, then St. Pete, Chelyabinsk, and so on. So, Mikhail, how about you? We sort out cities and we're trying to understand how many people arrive there every day. And we also have a kind of a geometry of the location of different things for us to be convenient to deliver products. Especially if we have a good partner in these localities, then which pick this city. If not, then we don't do it. Inside the city, it's easy, just choose the cheapest point downtown. So it should be a small place and cheap place, so we sort out cities by traffic, and we understand that the conversion rate, what is the conversion rate in the city and compare them with Moscow. So we open up not our stores, but kind of branches there. So, and if we have it there, then we should understand what will be the minimum stock on our shelves there, calculated the costs and the effect, and if we understand that it is cost-effective, then we try to build up traffic, and it is much easier to do with the online stores. So there is a question to everybody. So let's start with Alexey. I worked and communicated with many companies who work both offline and online. What is the structure in the company responsible for starting up new outlets offline. Because sometimes there is a practice to open up a branch inside the Department of Sales. There are other in the logistics department. What department in your company is responsible for offline retail? And where is it in the structure? So we have operations specialists. They open up new points in Moscow. There is a startup team that can launch some new stuff which it didn't have before. Well, we don't call it a department of construction. Maybe well, quite a lot of processes are outsourced in our company, and inside in our management, we don't have a lot of people. I think they are 25, and outsourcing reliable subcontractors. As a principle of our work. So some subcontractors, for instance, develop a technology for this very premises. The other brand department works for our branding in this very locality. And so we don't have a special department that would implement a kind of a comprehensive approach. For this, maybe there will be time when we need it, but we don't feel that we need it now. So how about you, Dmitry? So I think that the overall company works in this area. Is it so? We have a specialized department for that, and the department that monitors the existing outlets, and the other department is responsible for new outlets. Mikhail, do you have such a business unit? Yes, it is a logistics department. So, to what extent, if we go offline, can we make it maximally profitable? So how fast can you make your offline retail maximally profitable? So if you prepared it correctly, if you committed to it and committed some resources, then it would pay back immediately. For instance, in the restaurant business, it could be so. But if, apart from it, let's not talk about a new restaurant. Apart from that, if we start up a new product, for instance, street food, and you very well understand the consumption and the consumer, and you know that there are people who have money to buy this food. If you accounted for all these variables, then you will start making money from the second week of your operation. Otherwise, you've been mistaken. So if it's an absolutely new product and you don't know demand, and maybe that's well, it could be the other way around. But you know, our outlets start making money immediately when we open up our shop. We know what to expect, and all our shops should be profitable from the very start. But we depend on the season, and maybe we should, have some discount for 3 months a year. Mikhail, what is the principle you use? We talk about an offshore and offline shop, so we need to plan the number of units that could be on the shelves and could be delivered every day and could be handed out to the customers. So if it doesn't bring profit, then we've been mistaken. And we can certainly open up our point. And if we clearly understand that it won't give profit immediately, then we have a certain deadline, and we're kind of a checkpoint for us. So if it doesn't bring money, then we just shut it down. So how offline is competitiveness offline different from online competitiveness? So a good choice of opening up a store and so on. So is there any difference in competition conditions? Well, maybe I won't be able to clearly assess this, but in our business, to enter an online market is much easier than an offline market. So, because you're related first of all to deliveries. Talking, for instance, about the Oriental cuisine, there are quite a lot of such services, and they could not physically cope with the traffic and volumes and sales, but still they do it. They do it. And during 5 years, we learned lessons. So we learned not how to cook noodles, but how to build processes. We can open a new business very fast. We can serve huge traffic. That's why we are strong. So the competition a priori in my business, or just let's put it in other words, so regarding a food delivery online, is much easier than offline. So you have one factory, one shop where you manufacture all food, you have one point of delivery, and that's it. So it's regarding the competition and entry to city markets. Well, we understand competition available in Moscow and downtown. And first of all, these are finances. So networks occupy the best places, ground floors, downtown Moscow. And talking about outlets and trade centers, we should think of what is the nature of your product, because we already known very well our offer. And if we are, for instance, we could be interesting for giants such as Mega or IKEA, and sometimes they approach us and say, so we need your concept because consumers want you. So talking about retail in the city, first of all, there's competition in finances. Okay, get to some location outside of downtown. Yesterday we had a round table here about the food in a big city. Well, there is life beyond the gathering, yes, so you can go there and open up there, but here ambitions that matter, and a lot of people say we need a flagship store in the center of the city, and it costs, and it won't necessarily pay back very soon. But if you come to the location where you're needed, where people are waiting for you, then I think it won't be challenging. So how about your experience in offline competition? Online, well, generally, the competition rate is very high, but we are maybe the largest player. So offline and online is different. So online is first of all price, and offline is quality of service first of all. And so there are different thresholds of entry offline and online. To open a store is very expensive, and you need to rent some premises, to sign a few agreements, and so on. And online, I am absolutely sure just hundreds of new stores emerge, which just organize deliveries. No margin is needed, and they just shut down if they fail. And this market certainly is rather low. And in offline retail, that's the other way around. Some people have not enough passion to work here, and some people do not have enough competence or expertise for that. So what do you do with competition? Well, you had to catch up with CityLink, so you needed new approaches. In e-commerce, if you visited Asia, maybe you will see how the crocodile farms work. So one chicken is thrown to a dozen of crocodiles. So in e-commerce, competition is about the same in a certain segment of products. First of all, home appliances, electronics, maybe not so much in kids' goods or in clothes. But, well, the simpler is the product, which is easy to deliver, then, and we monitor the level of competition by each unit, by each position, and there are positions that are sold in 3,000 e-stores in Russia, so 3,500, stores. So it is 350 pages in Yandex. This is their rate of competition, and there are products on sale in only 15 shops. Well, first of all, in Moscow, certainly the competition is lower in the province, and we started not to pay attention to the overall mass of our competitors, though it is difficult. Certainly, we need to somehow handle it because tomorrow there's 3,000 would open, and the day after tomorrow they would shut down. It is an endless process, and you may not know their names and so on. And there are quite about maybe 2 dozens of shops now, which account for 50% of the market, and maybe that would have about 2.5% of the market each.
озвучений.
When we talk about CityLink, Yulmert, CityLink, Холодильник, well, they are well known, and we are trying to find a compromise between ourselves. If Enter thought that they will exceed in services and internet, then they understood that nobody is interested in the services, internet services. Everybody is interested in the price. And if we talk about the first page of the market, there were 10 out of the 10 who today they opened their shops and tomorrow they close. But now 8 out of the 10, they represent the first 20. And then in addition, the 2 crazy who, by reason unknown, they joined this cast and they will leave tomorrow. Offline does not compete with online. The only thing why they are competing is the speed of the last mile. Online provides assortment and price. Offline provides speed and sometimes service. But everybody understands services, well, up to them. But when a person goes to the traditional shop because he needs it now and here, he doesn't have time to wait for delivery. There are only a few shops who can arrange a fast delivery. The delivery is organized next day or after 2 days, and if you want to save and to find something. But for example, my grandmother, my mother-in-law has a birthday today, and I want to find a present today. Probably IT is the basis, the basic platform of your business. Then my question is more to Michael and Dima. When you've started to go from the offline to online, were the changes of the system killing you? No, well, they were killing when we were trying to open the second shops. When you have only one shop, you can do everything on your knee. But when you monitor at least 2 shops, it's difficult to monitor everything. You cannot write down all the data in your notebooks. Yes, it was a very painful experience, and now we are working with, well, we spent great efforts to adapt the system to our requirements. What happens with your IT, with your sales points of delivery? Well, we were dealing with IT at first rather than with the sales. The main issue that we faced from the IT point of view was originally all the architecture was based with the one and unique distribution center. All retailers, they face the same problem. It was not a problem to monitor how many goods are left, what goods we have in the transportation now in the delivery, but it was the collection of orders from different customers, then assemble of the goods for the customers, and the ability to do it not only in Moscow but elsewhere in the other regions. So the infrastructure was not prepared for the whole procedure. It's a difficult thing to organize a multi-chain sales product, assembly products, delivery, when the system has to take the solution, what needs to be done in order to arrange the fast delivery and to calculate it as fast as possible for the customer. So it means that offline, it is easier for offline to go to online. From offline, it's easier to go online rather than for online to go back to offline. It's a question of the level. If you want, for example, you have an assortment of 100,000 items. If you work with all these 100,000 items, it means that you don't have all of them at your warehouse. And how can you guarantee the delivery tomorrow to your customer when you don't have it at your warehouse today? You need to take it from somewhere. You have to bring it somewhere, and you have to deliver it somewhere to the customer. And offline does not face these problems because they sell from the warehouses. They use the same software. I don't know what it is, Android, but they just add the last mile. So it's easier to open an offline shop than online. Let's listen to the questions because I saw some raised hands. Will anybody help us with microphones? Good afternoon, offline and online. Well, you mean how to read the market. In the offline, it's easy. In the online, it's easy because there is a kind of a data bank, but how can you read the audience? You mean how many customers will go through your point of sales if there are no competitors? Then, if you understand who will come to your point of sales, then go to the street and count the people. If you want to count people in the shopping mall, then it is understandable that there are some, transparent figures about the attendance, about the presence of the customers in this or that shopping mall. If you want to foresee how much money you will earn, then by the end of the evening, I can come there and I can see the numbers of checks in different ticket offices, and I will understand. And I can learn the situation for a working day, for a weekend, or for several days. If you sell the product, the goods, for a spontaneous purchase, then you just calculate the traffic. If you want to count on loyalty, if you want to have permanent customers, I don't know what we are talking about, but I would say I would start with the goods. If this goods supposes that the customer will be coming back to you, then you have to count, you have to calculate business centers, residences. But there are some changes which you have to take into consideration, and approximately you will understand, will you be present at this point of sales or not? We take into consideration the price of the rent. We know what is the proportion of the rent in the general profit. And then we go and calculate whether we will be able to earn enough money in this point of sales or not. Is it like 20%? For us, it's even less than 20%. Another question about online, and this is a question to Mikhail. For example, points of sales, but do you consider the Do you consider sending goods by mail? Well, I would say that there is a margin, not 10%, because it has to be 2 or 3%. But if you will give like 2, 3, 4, then we are not prepared. And what I was mentioning that I was meaning cash on delivery. If you sell these, let's say, plates, and if you bought them for 50 and you want to buy it for 500, then you can arrange cash on delivery, and you can use postal services. Practically all the fashion business works with cash on delivery. The only thing you need to get an agreement with the logistical service. They have to give the possibility to the customer to try this particular clothes. But cash on delivery, it's not a problem if it suits the economy. Thank you. Good afternoon. I have a question to Alexey. We are colleagues. We are working with cooperative nutrition, and we worked out a very successful service, lunches through internet. And I have a question. When you decided to build up your chain and to sell the franchise, did you understand the standards of quality? Did you understand how you will control your quality? Or have you hired specialists? Or have you used the outsourcing? Well, we've prepared our franchise package inside, but I have a philosophy. I stick to a philosophy. I don't need any outsourcing. I came to this business understanding that I want to have it in this way. The only thing is, to bring my wishes in accordance with the whole team. But in my team, we have people who launched a number of major franchises. And at one moment, it was like a push that we managed to have all the reins, and we managed to guide this process. We had a very vast experience in organizing this business. But for example, you probably opened the first 10 points of sales yourself. Yes, I was running there. I was at the ticket office. I was at the construction site. But if the entrepreneur does not experience it himself, then it speaks for the infantility. You know that there were many talks when people said, let's invent something and then we will hire a person and he will fulfill it for us. Then if this person will organize everything, he will not need you. He is an entrepreneur. This is the most important thing to realize the idea. That is why in the first 3 or 4 years we were running permanently. In the nutrition business, either you do it yourself or you will be robbed. When I opened a bar or a cafeteria, I remember it very well, and I studied this market very well. Another question. I am from Tatarstan. Talking about the agricultural products, short-term agricultural products, do you have any experience? As far as these products are concerned, I think that you have an even more complicated business. Are you talking about vegetables, fruit, fish? I don't know how to deal with this business. I know how to cook out of these products. I mean, like soon rotting products or wasted products. For example, I had a shop and I was used to sell in boxes, and I had lots of boxes in the warehouse. And well, and at one moment, the client told me that your coffee was not good anymore. This is difficult, and it makes even more complicated this business. Well, I can only sympathize with you. For us, it's more simple. Good afternoon. I should like to seek for your recommendation or advice with regard to the fact that we've opened an internet shop, we have a point of sales, we rent a place in Gagarinsky shopping mall, and everything goes well. But we faced major issue, personnel, and we are tired. I can tell you that there will be, well, everybody will tell me that personnel is a very serious matter, but we are so tired that we just quit and we are vacationing for a couple of months now. Do you have any recommendations how to educate the personnel? Because you have people who have to stand in a very limited space for 12 hours, and people are tired. When you said that you were standing and you were a cashier, we also had this problem. And what is your product? Professional decorative makeup from Italy, a very famous makeup, and we need professionals to sell these cosmetics. We also, well, provided some services for the visage, but it was not in demand. And these specialists in visage, for them, it was easier not to work with us. There is a problem. It is an issue now. There are lots of personnel who are being hired and then they quit. It's a great problem as far as the doctors are concerned. Do you have any recommendations how to treat personnel? Well, of course, people leave, come and go. And we have a general manager at each sales point. But in order to make your people work, you have to treat them well. You have to motivate them. There should be a kind of a microclimate when it is comfortable for these people to work on the point of sales. And this is it has to go from the top to the bottom. I believe in the self-regulation. For example, if the director of your point of sale is not interested to work well and you didn't give him the possibility to work well, you will be tired, you will be fatigued, you will waste your efforts to check this point of sale. But if he is interested and he will translate his motivation to the personnel, at this moment, this micro group, this team will work more effectively. Everybody has his own motivation, and this motivation has to be taken into consideration. But you have to teach your personnel. You have to teach your employees. For example, well, education, training of our visage specialists costs 25,000 rubles. We teach them for free for 5 days, then they work for 1 week and they leave. Then you have to sign a kind of a contract. It's useless. So in our conditions, there is no use. Then you will not chase this girl, this lady. There is a universal decision for any business. You need an HR director. They will prepare personnel. They will build up the system of education. We have 4 people responsible for personnel and director responsible for personnel, HR director. It allows to decrease letting people go. Because in any business, people come and go, but you have to understand that there is no other solution. You have to do everything possible to motivate your personnel, your employees. But if you cannot contradict, if you cannot prevent anything, you have to do something. You have to prepare a reserve of personnel and to spend as less money as possible. This is very simple. I would say that as we speak about linear personnel, people who want to be shopkeepers, they don't want to be shopkeepers forever. They will work 6 months or 1 year, or if you are lucky, they will work for 2 years, and they will leave. So the whole work with your personnel should be based on investment of as less money as possible for those people who will work for 1 week, and to invest as much money as possible for those people who will work at least 2 years. There are lots of books about it. There are monetary motivation or motivation by interest, because it's not useful to keep your employee only increasing the salary, but only if this person finds it comfortable and interesting to work for your company, then he will stay. For the shopkeepers, for the waiters, so you have to organize like a camp, because anyway they will leave. At one point they will leave, but they will leave with tears in their eyes, and they will tell you that I will come back. And every day, of course, there is a kind of a monitoring, and there is a everyday selection, because you never know when one of your employees will decide to leave. This is a good proposal, but if you've noticed, sometimes you go to the same place for years. For example, I buy bags in art class. Men work there for years, because there are some, well, not very prestigious places. It's not clean there, it's dirty, but they work there for years. If they feel it comfortable and interesting to work there, if they are treated well, if they have corporative evenings, if they go to the sauna in the evening. We have a cooperative. We hire a boat every year. Do you have an HR director?
Well, I do everything myself. Well, I did the same before I hired personnel or HR directors. So there are different people, and if you pick your personnel yourself, read a book and just a guidance for exploitation of a human by a human, and it will help you to understand the HR policy. You will be able to recognize a person you need. For instance, a person can your future employee will work in a dirty place, but he will work steadily and for a long time, and so on. Let me see. So it was Art Plast question. I know Art Plast. But you need to seek for a motive. So if an employee has been sitting in Plus for years and he needs some security and he has no ambitions and he feels okay in this comfortable world, so there are different people. You need to pick people by their motives, and you'll better understand if he or she will be a good business associate or not. So, and the other person, if you do not guess right, would complain of everything. There are absolutely different people, so you need luck. Just a little bit of luck as well. Yes, luck. Well, I don't believe in luck. Luck is a consequence of planned circumstances, and nothing happens as is. And but you should work over it. You should analyze everything and rebuild, restructure your system, and then as a result, you will gain an excellent team. So nothing would come just by itself from this space to you. A year ago, I bought an advertising agency. There was a very good methodology of recruiting personnel. Well, here they are looking not for a programmer, but for an assistant programmer who will become a programmer if he is a little bit upgraded. For the time being, he has a little bit understated self-valuation, and he will become a great specialist in no time. Mikhail, so what what about you? So I think it's if you talk about mass vacancy, like a salesman or a call center specialist and a logistic specialist, so you won't find one decision and solution here. So a good HR boss won't be enough here. So you have internal and external factors influencing the system. You should have a systemic approach here. So every year some 15 people are hired, and each week some 12, and each week some 12 or 15 employees are fired. So there is a special system of adaptation of a kind of an introductory period, green period, and and there's an approach to shape special just conditions for him on, for instance, the first week, next week, and month, and so on. So if the productivity drops, then it's one thing. If the productivity rises, then that's the other way around. So there are quite a lot of cases and scenarios, but in all the cases, it should be a system. One person cannot do that. Because the system is complex, and if you have 300 on the payroll, then you need, for instance, a scouts camp and the health insurance and so on and so forth. It's a very complicated social insurance, you know. In Soviet times, we had all your life you worked at one plant and that's it. So now there is a lot of changes in the structure of employment. So if you have a small team, some 20 people, for example, then it's another approach. So, logistics, for instance, in one of our branches, our subsidiaries, so the the change in the personnel flow is to a very low degree in the logistics department, though the working conditions are not up to the mark. So, but the HR here in this small team is a very strong ex-military personality, and we are actually lucky with this person, and that's why there is no outflow from this subsidiary. We have another question. Go ahead. Good afternoon. Could you enumerate a few channels of promotion, offline and online, which bring the highest benefits and which are most effective? So do you have any plans about entering the mobile platform market? I have a lot of sites, different agencies that operate online, and in 10 years we understood that promotion is the most important factor, and we used to have a lot of optimizers in the marketing, different marketing approach, the outsourcing. So when I tried outsourcing, and now we have, for instance, when we hired an outsourced company, there are specialists who deal with a lot of companies who can trace different trends, and we work in the same contexts, but we try to avoid and to have zero budget, let alone emailing. We deal mostly with promotion. Offline advertisement for online projects, is failing actually today, and otherwise, by the way. Well, I have a wedding saloon, and it is an absolutely offline business, and we have only a website and a high-quality service. That's it, and it's enough, but it's on the way. This is a narrow niche consumption. So, offliners, would you speak up? I agree about online. That the most important is promotion in this area. And it is clear that money should be invested to promotion, and mobile advertisement also is good. We tried different options, but it is still not as effective as that. But we have our own option of offline advertisements, free access to online games and different spots and shopping areas, for example. So, and thus we could attract a lot of loyal customers and potential buyers. Maybe a question to Alexey. And my name is Dmitry. Nice to meet you. Well, maybe that's another topic you may not answer if you wish, but in building of a restaurant, what are the most important issues which we encountered when you communicated with the authorities or contractors? Well, you know, construction is construction, so there are some technological aspects such as ventilation, electricity, and frequently, well, it is a complicated approval process. And for instance, in large shopping areas, they have their own special standard procedures, and this process could be very slow, and you'll have to pay for that. This is an approval process, and you know that if we talk about construction, this is just technology. And for instance, I don't say that there is any particularity in the building of a restaurant, because but by the way, we're first of all a fast food and street food. We won't build an expensive building. And certainly it is very difficult also to decorate your hall. We don't have such issue. Maybe just the approval process is painstaking, and the deadlines, you know, in building. But certainly it should be, everything should be in the contract, and all the obligations and responsibilities should be clearly specified in the terms and conditions. So everyone works in a different way, with quality, with low quality. So in the output, you understand who should you work with on a permanent basis. And even they would relax at some moment, and you should have a kind of a choice here as well. So they should understand that they are not unique. We have such potential subcontractors. Pavel Savchenko, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the rise in revenues and even in profit in online retail. This is the pre-registered trade. Do you have any ideas about that? I don't do this. I sell my product because we cook our food and we sell it. So how do you deal? Do I deal with economics? Well, I deal with an average receipt, and we have here our key positions, weak positions, and if you use normal logic, we may have some meals on the menu that could be categorized as a spontaneous buy in this area of trade, and other pre-check or pre-receipt trade. Well, internal economics, what can I say? So we monitor the structure of net cost, and because each percent is money, this is inside this structure of net cost. We have special specialists on that. And from the very start, we should understand how many people should be employed for a certain job, because we don't want to flatten our staff. Well, working with a receipt, with a check, well, that's another way around. Thank you. We have very little time. This is a question maybe to Mikhail. I think that e-commerce cannot survive without that. It manifests itself everywhere, and we should here think of a comfort boundary as regards the client, because we sell everything. Ecosystem, we sell it on the first step of a basket, on the second step of a basket, at the step of formula of shaping an order, after shaping the order, on the step of delivery, everywhere. Otherwise, we won't make money on that. So, and some 25% of the overall margin account for that. And I have an internet shop of vinyl discs. Talking about offline, so you said that you have outlets, you have handout points. So is it cheaper to establish your own points than, in terms of logistics, than to use some logistic companies' points? So, well, does brand matter? No, price matters here. Price of one handout, one cell, actually. So we calculated as 60 rubles per one unit. So what is the farthest point from your storage? It's far away beyond the Urals. So we have only one storage logistics center in Moscow. So this 60 rubles is enough. So 10% makeup is enough? No. Well, the economics is really difficult here. Very often it is not enough. So did you try it? Yes, we did. So we have agents in many cities. We also work with partners in some cities where they deliver our goods. But well, on average, check 10,000 rubles would cost, so a buy of 10,000 rubles at average will cost us 300 rubles. And it takes quite a long time, for 5 days, if it is in the province. If we have our own highway and our own traffic, it is faster, 2 days faster actually, and it is cheaper. So 200 rubles is enough. So how many people at average work at a point? 1 or 2? Is it sufficient? Yeah, we don't need more. Another question. So certainly, in St. Pete, for instance, we hand out 200 or 300 orders. So question to Alexey is, what is the average receipt or average check? About 400 rubles. Thank you. Maybe the last question, because we are running out of the time. So the last but one. Hello, Konstantin Yelenko, Market Music. We work a lot with retail. We are indulged in audio market and sensitive technologies. So talking with fashion retail and shoe retail, we understand that they have a very powerful offline network, and online is kind of a fun for them, just to test their new technologies, for instance. It doesn't work well in this segment. But if you look at some other products, where you need a special atmosphere, where we need to sell them offline when a consumer prefers to touch them, to see it with his own eyes. Do you need some additional
тех же играх, которые, в общем-то, если ты ее знаешь, тоже можно ее купить в офлайне, да, чем добавить?
some additional value here? Can you substantiate this additional value, this added value, which you need offline? Talking about games and maybe some other products, the more qualitative is consultation, the more often people get back. Games have rules, and a salesman needs to know these rules, and a consumer will call to the shop with a competent salesman, and not just who knows not just the what games are on the shelf, but who knows the game, and who can recommend something. The last question. My name is Andrei. Maybe to three of you. So how about wholesale trade? Is it interesting to develop it? Have you encountered any issues? So in Mosigra, I know that you have your own developments in this area. No, well, let alone franchising. So 20% from the turnover, this is a large segment of our activity. It is that individual type of business, has nothing to do with online and offline retail. There are particular rules, particular concerns. So the key concerns, well, you know, are as following. So when I work personally with a client, I know why he buys and why he doesn't buy. But when I supply the product to retailers, then I don't know motivation of a retailer. He knows the client, I don't. And I need to teach my counter agent to sell my product to a retailer. Now, the wholesale. Well, I have a few products in the e-commerce. Have a certain category of clients who rechanneled products. We just had an individual relationship with them, and this segment is growing. We have quite a lot of wholesalers, so we are bringing in our brands from Europe, from Asia, and we leave a high margin for channels, and a lot of projects, you know, just include this and gradient. So, for instance, you received 4 containers from China, and 1 container should be absolutely just all the products should be rejected. This is a challenge. So, do you have wholesale? Well, it could be, you know, what the throughput capacity in the retail is, for instance, for 50 boxes, and a good discount you can have for 1,000 boxes. So certainly it is better to have 1,000 and some part of it well channel to retail and get the margin. Okay, so we should wrap up. Any questions? No questions. Thank you very much. It was very interesting to listen to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.